Hello and welcome to Pressing Buttons. I'm Hugo,
I'm Nick.
and we're right back at you with another brand new episode of Pressing Buttons. Sorry for the little skip last week for the episode. Nick wasn't feeling too well.
It's my fault.
It's definitely his fault.
I'm better now, though.
Yeah,
Back in action.
and we didn't want to release a subpar episode because we're all about releasing good content, or we try. So here we are.
We try.
Well, I think we do a good job. You guys,
Another great week, another great episode.
Yeah, you guys can be the judge of that. I think it's always great weeks, great episodes. So
Yeah, that's our next shirt.
we're batting 100%.
I want that to be the next Pressing Button shirt.
There you go. All right, we can make we got to get the design approved.
Yeah.
Got to talk to D-Pass, get a little design going.
Okay. All right.
And also got to give out more shirts, which we're about to hit our 100th
Huge milestone.
Yeah, our 100th real, not bot human people on Discord.
I think bots should count.
Well, bots
are people too.
Yeah, but they can't get shirts.
Look what's happening on Twitter.
Yeah, which we'll talk about later on. But yeah, we're about to hit 100, so we're gonna send 5 lucky Discord followers a shirt. So make sure you are logged into Discord and supporting the channel, so you guys can get a shirt. And if you have a shirt already, then you might get another shirt later on down the road. Our new another great week, another great episode. Sure. All right.
There you go.
So we're gonna move right on into some news. Last week it was also very light in terms of news, so that's why it was also a good thing we didn't do an episode because there wasn't much to talk about. But this week we got some great news. First off, we're gonna start with PlayStation VR2, which was announced last week. The pricing, they're gonna start off at $550, which is just $50 more than your regular PS5 with a disc. It's gonna include the PSVR2 headset, the PSVR2 Sense controllers, and stereo headphones. And it's gonna release right off the bat with Horizon Call of the Mountain, which is gonna be a launch title, along with 11 other ports from different VR games throughout the year. My thoughts on this is, it's a bit surprising just because it's an expensive console and now you got an expensive VR headset to go along with it. It's definitely going to be a hard entry point for a lot of people to get. But if you have the console ready, I think it's kind of, whenever you're ready for it, you can just get the VR headset. And then as far as the peripherals, I think it's going to be good. I do want to kind of see if they do anything innovative with the Sense controllers, just because the DualSense that we have for the PS5, I think it's very innovative with the rumble and the sound and all that stuff. So I'm kind of interested to see what they have with the Sense controllers. And then as far as the games go, Horizon Call of the Mountain looks like it's going to be a pretty good game. I like the Horizon universe, especially being able to shoot a bow and arrow. I can't wait to see how that gets translated and how it feels. As far as the other 11 games, they kind of look mediocre. They are titles that have been out for other VR headsets, so nothing new there. A bit disappointing that they didn't announce a lot more stuff, but it's a lot of issues with the pandemic and the supply chain and stuff like that. So maybe down the road they'll announce more stuff. What do you think? You super excited for this VR, man?
Not really. Yeah, the price point, I think it's definitely higher than a lot of people were expecting. So I think a lot of people were kind of caught off guard by how expensive it is. It's definitely not I don't think they've positioned it as like a mass market price point by any means. I think they're targeting this as more of like a premium VR experience. And when you think about it as like a premium VR experience, I actually think it's actually like not that bad of a deal. It's just going to be like a much more, I think, smaller audience of people who want that. But when you think about the total cost of, a PS5 plus a PSVR 2, and you compare that with HTC Vive plus a high-end gaming PC, or although the Oculus, the Quest Pro isn't necessarily targeted at gamers, I think some people are looking at that as like a high-end VR headset that you can play games on. So when you count kind of the total bundle of what PlayStation is doing versus Oculus Quest Pro or Vive plus gaming PC, I think it's actually pretty attractive. Again, I think it's just like not a ton of people are going to want to do that. I'm in the camp of people who are open to a premium, VR kind of price point, and I've done that in the past with the HTC Vive back in 2015 or 16 or whatever it was. To me, so that's kind of my thoughts on pricing. To me, the biggest takeaway was just like the lack of games. Where from a PlayStation Studios first party perspective, as of now, it really seems they're pushing this Horizon game, and I'm not the biggest fan of that franchise. So it's not. I'm sure it'll be a great technical showpiece. It'll probably be great if you love that series, but I just don't. So I'm not really excited about that, and all the other titles really seem to be kind of more of the same of these, call them, I don't know, like AA or kind of more like these cookie cutter VR games that we've already been seeing on the Oculus Quest. So yeah, it's pretty disappointing so far. There's nothing really getting me excited to want to buy it at launch. And in the past, I've been, I think I mentioned, there's a lot of different VR hardware that's coming out over the next 6 to 12 months. And I just kind of feel like I'm in the market. Like I want to buy new ones because I feel like it's the right time. But I just kind of assume that there would be more compelling content that would be available like at launch or shortly after launch. But I literally haven't seen anything that I would want to play. So I think I'm actually going to change my thinking into more like a wait and see. So
yeah, I mean, definitely. I think it's, especially since it's coming directly from Sony, and they're one of the few companies trying to push the VR into current people, current console holders and stuff like that. They want a big share of that market. It is kind of weird that they only have one big title that they're publishing with one of their franchises. Obviously, with the pandemic and all that stuff, it delayed a lot of stuff. So there might be a lot of titles that they're probably internally working on that they haven't announced yet. They do definitely have a lot of universes that they could easily incorporate into VR. I think that would work so well, especially now with like Bungie acquisition and stuff like that. They could do some Bungie games or anything with like Ratchet and Clank or Astrobot stuff. Like a technical showpiece, I think it would work so well. So definitely not having any impressive titles or too many impressive titles to launch, it's kind of a bummer. But I'm thinking this is kind of be more like a wait and see approach, where the first year is probably going to be underwhelming, just like with a lot of console launches, except to the most recent ones. There wasn't really that many enticing games to kind of get the console for. So I think this will be the same case for the VR, where probably a year into it in 2024 is when you start seeing the technical showpieces from different titles, and also a lot more variety. So it's a bummer, but give it some time, and I think it'll succeed just like the first one did. Even if it's a small player base, I think it'll be a success for them. And like you said, with the pricing points from consoles to PC and everything that you get in between, this does seem like the more affordable option, because it's not that expensive once you start calculating everything else that you got to get for like the Meta Quest and the Vive. So. We'll see. Hopefully they come out with something good, because I know you want to get right into VR.
I'm primed.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go. I just need at least one game that I'm excited to play. Even if it's something like what they did with PlayStation Home, and then maybe it's some updated version of that's more like, if there was like a really cool, online experience that was native to PlayStation, like even that would be maybe enough, but there's just got to be something more than what I'm currently seeing.
Something enticing, and hopefully they don't. I don't know if you read that article where the original creator of the Oculus made a VR headset that kills you if you die in the game, which is like the dumbest thing that you could.
What is that, Sword Art Online or something?
Yeah,
it's like inspired by some anime. Yeah,
it's the dumbest thing you could think of. It's as dumb as in what's that Steven Spielberg movie with all the IPs?
Oh, Ready Player One?
Yeah, Ready Player One, when they had the suit and they actually put it so you get feedback if you get kicked in the crotch. That's right up there with like the dumbest things you could do for a controller or something. So yeah, don't get one of those. Unless you're dumb. All right. Next bit of news we want to talk about was Gears of War. Netflix just announced that they're developing a Gears of War live action and some sort of animated show. Dave Bautista kind of put his name out there in the ring. He made a video showcasing himself in the Gears of War uniform, I guess you could say. I'm excited for this just because I think the Gears of War aesthetic is very pleasing in terms of post-apocalyptic.
Beefy boys.
Beefy boys. Gotta get a lot of beefy boys in there. And Dave Bautista is a beefy boy. And his range is pretty wide. He's been in a lot of movies lately, a lot of good movies. The Knives Out, the Dune, James Bond.
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, Guardians of the Galaxy. So he's definitely got range, and I can see him pushing for this really well. Hopefully they do kind of consider the gamers and it succeeds and they get good actors to be in the show. And then as far as animated, I think Netflix has had a good track record with animated shows, especially when it has to do with video games. We can see with Edgerunners and we can see with Castlevania and such that they do kind of have a big push for animation. So hopefully they can tell good stories that can't be told in live action through the animation. What are your thoughts on this? I know we don't really talk about Gears of War that much, obviously, because there's not any new games. But are you excited for this? Is this a universe you want to see?
Yeah, I mean, I'll check it out. The Gears of War franchise wasn't on a short list of gaming IP that I wanted to see more. You know, whether it's a TV show or a movie or something like that. So yeah, like I don't know. Like even when I think back, so I played the first. I completed the first 2 Gears of War games, maybe played a little bit of 3, and didn't touch 4. And then I played a bit of Gears 5, but didn't complete it. So I'm like, familiar with the game enough. I don't remember anything about the story. I think the story is pretty forgettable, and you're really just playing the game for kind of that like cover-based, tactical shooting combat,
chainsawing people.
Yeah, and they're generally technical showpieces. They're very like good-looking games and perform very well. So to me, that's more the draw to the franchise as opposed to the lore. But at the same time, what's interesting is the characters are very, very memorable characters. I just don't quite remember the broader kind of story and the lore and
some aliens are on the ground and they come above ground and that's it.
so I wasn't necessarily like excited to learn more about that world, but I think there's opportunities to make it. I think you were saying like Tremors, and I was thinking like Starship Trooper. I think there's like they're they're a little campy, but I think there's TV shows and movies that basically take that type of setting and make it entertaining. So, so I'm more like cautiously optimistic. We'll have to, see what it looks like. Yeah. I think it's an opportunity to cast some like, think of it as like
Beefy
almost
boy
an
lineup.
expendable. Yeah, it's like an Expendables type casting thing where just because of the people they're casting, that generates a lot of excitement into the content as well. So, let's just say like Batista's a no-brainer. I think Terry Crews is another beefy boy with acting chops. The Rock, John Cena, so
The Rock's in too much stuff.
A lot of wrestlers, a lot of former wrestlers, but
they're good at acting.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I guess I think it's really going to be who's the ensemble, and if that's like cool, then I think that'll get me more excited about it than just like it's just a Gears animated show or live action show.
And I think you hit the nail on the head where I think if they don't take itself, because it is an absurd world where you have these beefy Marine dudes. If they don't, if whatever show they make, it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's more like you said, Starship Troopers. I think I think it'll do fine.
Could be fun,
but
yeah.
if it tries to be like some Steven Spielberg World War II epic type thing, then yeah, you're gonna lose everybody that wants to watch this. And it is kind of funny where like Gears of War at this point is not, I would say, high in popularity as it was when the first one came out or whatever. So it is kind of funny to see that they're kind of making it now. Obviously, I think the franchise is still ongoing and they're making a part 6. So maybe they're kind of trying to time it around that time. So it'll release around that time. But it's a very interesting world. So I'm kind of glad to see that they're moving on with this, especially with, we've mentioned this before in other episodes, where you have all these properties that are kind of trying to be in different genres, where you have animes and live action and shows and movies and TVs and all that stuff, from video games to board games to whatever. So I'm kind of glad that video games are kind of getting thrown out there and you get to see more of them in different media. Yeah. So hopefully it's a good one. All right. And then the next thing we want to talk about is God of War. Obviously, got released last week on Wednesday the 9th, on a Wednesday, because Odin's name is Wednesday. Little,
I think you told me that.
Yeah, little Norse trivia for you. But yeah, so God of War, a strong contender for Game of the Year. Released last week. I was able to play a couple days. I got 15 hours into it. I believe Nick got it a bit early on Tuesday through some sheer Amazon good luck on shipping.
Thanks, Jeff.
Yeah, we're in with Jeff Bezos.
Yeah,
at least
I got that early access courtesy of Amazon distribution services.
Yeah, so we're not gonna say too much into it because we want to do a full review once we both finish the game, much like we did with Elden Ring, our other Game of the Year contender. It's these are two awesome Game of the Year contenders.
I'm extrapolating. It's Elden Ring wins.
Yeah. I mean,
I think for Game of the Year, I think there's certain categories where game like God of War will. It's definitely like a prettier, like I think more technical performer.
Yeah.
But I think Game of the Year. I'm all in on Elden
Well,
Ring.
we're also gonna do like a big as every show ends the year. We're also probably gonna do a Game of the Year, show of the year. Show games of the year. Whatever.
We can do something around the Game Awards.
Yeah, we'll probably do some.
We'll email Jeff again and
get see if we could get in.
Yeah.
Get a little hosting.
Yeah.
Do some hosting.
you can do that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah. But yeah. So far I'm liking the game. It's basically more of the God of War from 2018. Obviously. Except so far what I've noticed is that they focus more on the side characters. They focus more on your companions, which is good. I feel like the first game, it kind of focused a lot, which it had the right to. It focused a lot on Kratos and Atreus, and this one kind of focuses on everybody else, which is really good because it's trying to tell a bigger story that's not just about them. And also having a teenager, which is annoying so far. It was
Is it? I mean, I almost, and I think a lot of people have this opinion where they don't like these sidekick, escorting type mechanics.
Yeah.
And I went into the first God of War as just assuming that I was going to hate that mechanic, but I actually thought it was fine.
Well, yeah. No, I mean, I just mean in the sense of like
the angsty personality of a teenager versus
shit,
yeah.
But the NPC combat, like because you get to play with other NPCs, not a big spoiler, but other NPCs kind of help you out. So it's not always Atreus who's with you. So I think that aspect is good because you don't really notice that they're there. They're helping you out, obviously, but it's not like it's bothering you or anything like that, and they're not talking to you all the time. So definitely a lot of good things that have been expanded from the first one. Can't wait to finish it. I'm loving the story. I love these Greek and Norse mythology stories, so I'm excited and can't wait to share the full review with you guys. And I can't wait till you play some more so I can talk about it.
Well, that's what's so funny is I got it a day before you, and you've played it like 3 times as much as I have.
What a loser.
So I think you said you played like 15 hours?
Yeah,
15 I think I'm
hours,
probably just under 5. So,
and it looks beautiful too. Like I think it's the best so far. Horizon Forbidden West looks really great, but I think it's also the PS5 makes some fucking beautiful games.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think I would need to go back to Demon Souls. Like Demon Souls also looks incredible. Maybe God of War is probably going to edge it out, but they both look incredible. That was so I played it for about 5 hours. I love all the settings and performance modes. So I think it's a great title just to give you people a lot of flexibility with exactly how they want to play it. So, and it's basically like playing on a high-end gaming PC, which I think that was when Miles Morales came out. No. I'm sorry, not. It was like the VRR variable refresh rate feature when that launched, and then I went back because I bought Miles Morales and just like never played it. But when they unlocked that feature on PS5, I played it, and I'm like, oh my god, like this is like it's PC, it's like high end PC gaming now. So consoles finally, I think caught up to what it feels like to play on a high end gaming PC, and God of War is more of that. So it's been great. I definitely feel it's more of the same, which I'm totally happy with. Like it's not like a knock at all. I've seen, murmurs of people saying that like earlier on that's true, but things happen
and it gets better
to suggest that it kind of becomes less of just more of the same. So I have that to look forward to. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. The thing that I liked was, because this is arguably kind of like a bit of like the Metroidvania kind of formula where it's like you need to, get new things to unlock new pathways and all that. And one of the like really annoying things with like the Metroid games is like you basically reset. Like it comes up with some dumb way of you like losing all of your abilities and whatever at the beginning.
Someone just took all my shit. Yeah. Now I gotta go get it back.
Surprise! I have nothing that I gained from any of the prior games again for the fifth time. So I was wondering what they were going to do with but it's like it's not that, right?
Yeah,
like
you don't lose anything.
You basically just start with all the stuff that you accumulated from the prior game, and it's like a direct.
Yeah.
So I think they're just going to build on top of all that stuff.
And the combat system that I play now more with it's a bit upgradable. Where the more you use a move, the better it gets, and you can put certain runes. I don't know if you've gotten to that part, but I think that's definitely a step up. The combat I always thought was great. The quick time events when you take somebody down, those are still great. Mm-hmm. One of my big qualms with the first one was that I don't feel like there was a lot of variety in terms of enemies. But this one, I feel like there's a lot more monsters, different monsters that you're fighting and stuff like that. And there's unique animations for each one. So I like that upgrade on it.
Yeah.
But yeah, we'll definitely give you guys a lot more in our full review once we both finish the game. But Elden Ring, God of War, it was a good year for us at least, I think.
I mean, they're two incredible games. I feel like it's not enough, big titles. Yeah. So I'd like to see more out there. But I think it's literally like those two games. Who's going to win? And kind of, I think I said this earlier, but if I'm just extrapolating based off of my 5 hours of God of War, like I feel like Elden Ring is the front runner, but we'll see.
Well, all right. It's definitely it's two bookends. Elden Ring at the beginning and God of War at the end. So.
Yeah.
And we still got, there's a couple sleepers in there. I don't think they're going to be Game of the Year contenders, but I feel like...
Stranger of Paradise?
I still got to play the expansion, but yeah. But yeah, we'll once we do our big end of the year showcase, hopefully with co-streaming with the Game Awards or whatever, we can give our hot takes.
to me, the only real big surprise game was Neon White. I don't know. I don't think that's Game of the Year.
Yeah.
But for me personally, that was a great game. But I can't really think of any.
Well, as far as blockbusters, you obviously just think of these two. Obviously, Starfield was supposed to come out yesterday. This is being filmed on the 12th. It was supposed to come out on the 11th, but it didn't. But like, yeah, next year is shaping up. But I'm glad at least we got these two things.
Yeah, I don't think like I'm convinced Starfield's going to be a dud and will not win any.
Well, at least you'll have Final
Game of
Fantasy
the
to
year.
come for you next year.
Yeah, next year. Yeah, next year's. I mean, that's going to be. I'm excited for that episode when we can like kind of close out this year and talk about next year. And like, there's so much stuff.
Yeah, and finally it looks like
none of it VR though. But
well, that also I think that was one of the best things where we always had in the back of our mind a little doubt that God of War was going to get delayed at least until next year, and it kept its timeline. So
yeah,
super glad for that. All right, and then the last bit of news that we wanted to talk about, and it's just hilarious that we're even talking about this because who would have thought, is Twitter imploding. For those living under a rock, if you don't know, Elon Musk bought Twitter finally about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, and things are not going well. It's going so bad that some fake Nintendo accounts are tweeting Mario pictures, flipping people off and stuff like that, and people think it's real. It's just so funny. We both talk about our use of Twitter. And the way I use it, I just consume it. I follow a lot of anime accounts. I follow a lot of gaming accounts, a lot of movie accounts and stuff like that. And, kind of run into funny stuff. But I never interact with it. Like, I'm not posting messages. I'm not replying to people and stuff like that. So I think that's the best way to do it so you don't go crazy. But it's so weird because it's kind of going away from that and it's trying to become very monetized. And I think it's kind of taken away from what it is. What do you think? Because I know you kind of use it in the same thing as I do.
I use it a lot. I guess we use it kind of in a similar way where I don't think I've ever tweeted and I never comment or I don't do any of that stuff. It's really just like almost like a news aggregator for me. And so I know like a lot of people think about Twitter as this super toxic, and I think that's absolutely the case for, depending on how you engage with it. But for me, it's like I just follow a very curated, list of people. It's like a pretty short list of people, mainly in gaming. And I'm really just getting updates from them. So it's, again, kind of this like real rapid, news site is kind of how I use Twitter. Yeah.
It's the best of the world and the worst of the world. It's the best because sometimes you'll find a funny joke or a nice video about cats and dogs, and also the worst because you'll find a racist video of somebody being racist or something.
Yeah, but like I don't get any of that stuff. Like, to me, it's literally
Oh, you don't get? I mean,
I only follow. I basically follow no. I guess what used to be verified or like whatever, but like it's it's like the big gaming sites, developers, publishers, specific people in the games industry who are generally credible people who so I don't really get a lot of the like chaos stuff. But I think that's starting to change, right? So
I don't know how fast the effect's going to change, but I do like before I would get some stuff would leak, like whatever was trending would leak into my timeline, and I would catch something that's funny or whatever.
That I do get leak stuff sometimes,
Or if it was something crazy enough to like take over Twitter, like when Will Smith slapped Chris Rock or something like that, or if it's a new video game release or a movie or something where just everybody on Twitter is talking about that one thing. But now I don't know if it's because of the acquisition or whatever that I feel like now I'm just getting spam viral stuff from everywhere, and I don't like that.
The feed definitely feels different for me now. And then this whole like Twitter Blue,
Twitter verified, official. It's
people are abusing it and creating a lot of basically like disinformation on the platform because
some funny stuff, but a lot of.
I mean, I think it's like absolutely negative for the platform, but I'm also like pretty entertained by it because I don't really think pay too much attention. I don't take Twitter that seriously, so but there is like a lot of very confusing tweets that are happening that are designed specifically. I mean, to me, like they're very obvious, but
Yeah, if you look at the name,
Yeah.
you know, or if you do a bit of
But-
research, it's like, is this the real Nintendo? No, it's not.
yeah, but yeah. So you have like the Mario giving everyone the finger, and that, and like, oh my god, Mario wouldn't. And it's like, it's like it's because it's not real. But you know, there's the check mark that everyone's been conditioned to believe that if there's a check mark next to it, then it's real. So yeah, I feel like there's some pretty bad decisions getting made in terms of how to manage this platform.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess we'll see what happens, whether it continues going on a downward spiral or, you know, Elon Musk did say that he's like his approach is to like rapidly iterate on things. So I think you've seen Twitter change pretty meaningfully, like very fast. So it's a question of whether they can, you know, move fast, but in the right direction where like the platform just doesn't evolve into complete nonsense.
Yeah. It's sad to see it go just because that's kind of where I get my news in terms of, I don't watch news. So if anything happens, Twitter's were like, oh shit, this is...
Yeah, where would I go? What else is out there?
There's
a couple other platforms, but I feel like they have like a very specific kind of agenda.
Yeah, whereas you could get everything in Twitter from where you need it. I feel like so far this is like, remember in Titanic, the movie, when the ship is going down and you got the people playing the instruments? I feel like I'm the people playing the instruments. I'm just going to go down as the ship sinks. So it's funny. It's funny.
Yeah, like if Twitter, you know, goes away tomorrow, like I'm not.
Yeah.
It would be.
I'll find somewhere else.
Yeah, like I'll find a replacement. Yeah.
Might have to fire up that Facebook again.
Oh my god.
No, never happening.
Yeah.
All right. That kind of does it for all the news we got for the week. We're gonna move on to some closing thoughts. It's a beefy closing thoughts, just because.
Speaking of beefy.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Gears of War got nothing on this update.
It's all beef this episode. The beef episode.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start off. I've been watching Battlestar Galactica off of your recommendation. I know it's been on my conscience for a while, just because I know a lot of people like it. It's a space show. It's also a very political, I would say, and deceptive show, which is right up my alley. So
deceiving people. That's right up my alley.
Yeah. I'm a master liar. Yeah.
Great, that's good to know.
It's good so far, and when a really good show deals with like the human aspect of things and people's emotions and the back and forth, I think those are really good. That's why like I'm a big fan of Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad and all that stuff, where you kind of get deeper into somebody's head and there's a lot of conflict. So Battlestar Galactica, based on your recommendation as well, really liking it so far. So I'm excited. I got 4 seasons. 5 episodes in, just because I've been watching other stuff as well. But I'm excited. I got some new stuff to watch. The other thing I've been watching is Andor, which I don't want to spoil too much because there's still a couple of there's 2 episodes left, I believe, because they're doing 2 seasons of 12 episodes. But the first part officially, basically, the first 6 episodes is like a heist movie, and then the other 4 episodes are like a prison break movie. But it's pretty good. It kind of dives deeper into the Empire and the rebellion and stuff like that. So you kind of see it from the regular people's perspective, and it's not all Jedis and lightsabers and all that stuff. And no offense, Mandalorians. There's no Mandalorians. So I think you got to give it a shot. We're still pushing you to watch it, but
I'm gonna watch it. I think I said I was basically kind of done with the Star Wars TV series, with exception of Mandalorian. But I've gotten enough positive, input on this one, so I'm going to check it out. I think it's next in the queue after I wrap up House of the Dragon.
Yeah, I'll tell you this: the last episode, the 10th episode, got me super hyped. Like I was watching it, I'm like, yes, go. So. I don't want to spoil it, but it's definitely, if it's not on your radar, definitely look it up. It's a great show, and it's Star Wars, but not Star Wars.
That's what you've been wanting.
Yeah, fuck the Jedi and the Sith. Yeah. All right. Other thing I watched, Barbarian, and I told you about this. It's a horror movie. It's on HBO Max, and I don't want to spoil that too much because I'm not one of those people that gets like scared by horror movies, and this one was it got me frightened a little bit. It's definitely one of those sleeper hits. I know I watched it during Halloween time because it was appropriate, but definitely I think I would recommend checking that one out because it's a really interesting story and it's like something new. Barbarian. It's basically like somebody booked an Airbnb, and then
Scary.
and then there was somebody else in there that had also booked it, and things go crazy from there. It's not what you would expect, so definitely I would also recommend checking it out. It's about an hour and a half, an hour 40 minutes of good movie. And then as far as games, finished Horizon Forbidden West. Loved the game, but it was such a drag, man. Just because I think I spent like 40, 50 hours on the game, and it was just a lot of side quests and stuff like that. I love the mechanics of the game. I love the environments, but just the story, I think the main story was fine, but it just gave you so many side stories and so many things to do that it kind of, by the end of it, I was like, is this over? I just want it to be over. Kind of the same feeling I had with Days Gone, so that was a little bit sad. Just because it's an open world, very expansive story. It got me drained at the end. Great game, just I don't know if you want to put 40 to 50 hours into a game.
Yeah. Do you think that's going to happen with God of War?
No,
Because I heard that's approaches like a 50-hour game, whereas the first one was more.
I think with God of War, I don't see
30, something like that. Yeah.
I think with God of War, I don't see the fatigue coming in like I got with Horizon, just because it's still very linear. You could tell your story. Just continue the one path. Whereas I feel like with Horizon, there was certain roadblocks where like if you wanted to continue the main story, you had to go and do something else. Whereas with God of War, there are side quests that you could do to get more stories for the other people, but you could just continue the main story if you want to and just focus on that. So I think that's the big difference. And then the one last thing I want to say was the passing of Kevin Conroy, Batman from the animated series, Batman from the Arkham games, and Batman in a lot of other media. Really sad to hear, just because I watch the animated series so much. It's one of my favorite Batman properties, and he was such a distinct voice that just like Mark Hamill with the Joker, him being Batman is just a bit sad. It came up on my Twitter feed, which was the only good thing that kind of showed on Twitter, was that everybody was doing a lot of tributes to him, just because, like I said, he was a very unique singular voice. He passed away, so just a little bit sad for that, but always be Batman. So
yeah, total bummer. I think when people ask who's your favorite Batman, I would almost always say Kevin Conroy, and then people would be like, who? Because he's the voice actor. Yeah, he's the voice actor, but to me, like, he was always like that voice is Batman.
And the fact that he like was okay with doing it for so many properties, because he did for a lot of video games, he did it for a lot of the shows and stuff like that. I think that was always good, because you never really get the same actor doing the same voice for everything else.
Yeah, no, he took the role very seriously, and I was kind of impressed by that, because I think a lot of people get worried about being typecast or what, and he just kind of seemed to like lean into it and almost view it as like a responsibility or something that he was like a steward of. That's the.
Yeah, and he seemed like a nice person from all the tributes that were going. A lot of people are really going to miss him. And from all the interactions he had with fans, he seemed like, a typical normal person. And he was happy to talk about Batman or whatever whenever you approach him at these conventions. So shout out, pour one out for the real dogs.
There you go.
What about you? What are your thoughts?
Well, I think this was probably a couple. So we skipped last week's episode, right? So I think this is actually kind of like my TV update from a couple weeks ago. But the TV setup is finally real.
So it looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks good, right? So I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. So So because my TV setup's now operational, I started just digging into some TV series that have been in my backlog. The first one was Cyberpunk Edgerunners,
Nice.
which I think I finished it in 2 days.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
You finished it
10
pretty quick by your standards.
for me that's insane.
And then you watched it again, did you?
And then I just started watching it again. Yeah, so I didn't watch it to completion, but it's 10 episodes, right?
Yeah.
I think 10 episodes are about 25 minutes each, so it's pretty easy to marathon it. It's not like a ton of minutes in total. But yeah, after I completed it, I'm like, I kind of just want to watch it again.
Yeah.
And so I think I watched the first 3 episodes maybe again, and then I'll finish it over time. But yeah, I loved it. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it looks incredible just visually, which is what you would expect from Studio Trigger. Like it just looks awesome. Big fan of the music, which I have to dunk on you a little bit. So what were we talking about?
Was coming.
It was the Silent Hill. Yeah, Silent Hill. I made
Hill.
a comment about Akira Yamaoka being the guy who kind of orchestrates all of the music and that franchise.
And I laughed at you because I was like, you listen to horror music.
Yeah. And then after I watched the show, I was like, hey Hugo, what'd you think about the music and Edgerunners? And you're like, oh yeah, it's good. I'm like, yeah, who do you think directed all that?
Totally got dunked on.
It's the Silent Hill guy. So obviously very different genres, but I think you can appreciate kind of what he can contribute to, whether it's a game or a TV show or a movie, kind of what he can contribute from like a music perspective. So yeah, I think the music was very well selected and integrated, into the show.
Well, I also wanted to, which is one of the main reasons where I kind of wanted you to watch it so we could discuss, was like, you would see this just because you also play the game, like how well it does, where you feel like it connects it so well with the game, the world itself, and everything's going on. Even though it said, I don't know how many years before the timeline of the game is, but it does it so well where like it's the same world. You don't feel like, oh, it's not the same.
Yeah, it's just a lot of small things that really add up to make it feel like it really is like an extension of the game.
Yeah.
Even just the noises of just when people are making phone calls and the
HUD, the UI basically from the game.
The UI, the weapons. So I thought they did just a great job of tying in game elements from the game into the show. And
I've always liked Studio Trigger, and I don't know if we discussed this before, but like I've said how in a lot of their shows the animation kind of changes from like a cartoonish one to a more fine cut animation, whereas like it's happened with Gurren Lagann, where the beginning was kind of like cartoonish, and then towards the end it kind of became better refined, and then the same thing with Kill la Kill, and then the same thing in Edgerunners, where like the beginning animation looks different than the ending animation. Not in a bad way. They're both great. It's just you can kind of see the tone change because it becomes more mature, I would say. So I thought they did a really good job of kind of like visualizing that.
Yeah. I totally agree. And then the other thing that I really liked was it was the gang.
Yeah,
you just like all the characters are just so good.
It's a good game.
You feel like you're kind of part of the gang, which isn't really something I've felt in anime since literally like Cowboy Bebop, where that's like another just iconic gang of characters, and you really feel like you're kind of part of the gang when you're watching the show. Or at least I did. And
a lot of these animes these days, they kind of mostly singularly focus on one or two main characters, but with like you said, Edgerunners and Cowboy Bebop, you kind of love all the characters.
Yeah. And what's impressive is they did that within 10 episodes. Yeah. So they were able to like get you hooked in and kind of feeling.
And you get enough background for everybody too.
Yeah. So I thought that was one of the reasons why I wanted to rewatch it, as more from like a diagnostic, view of just like how did they so like efficiently
and it
do
was
this.
and it wasn't
It's, like,
something
very
that was in a lot of
impressive,
people's radar too.
Yeah.
I think like obviously people knew there was going to be a Cyberpunk animated show coming out, but
Yeah.
that they thought it was going to be good wasn't on the radar, and that it did so well wasn't on anybody's radar. So
Yeah. Yeah, so finally watched it, really enjoyed it. It doesn't sound like they're going to do more of it,
Yeah.
which is a bummer.
they'll probably do something else, I think, just because it would be a really bad idea not to kind of do something else. Definitely these characters, that story was told, so it's probably going to be new characters.
Yeah. I'd want it to be different characters for sure, but I think there's opportunity to do more. An anime version of Cyberpunk, tell another story. There's time, right? I mean, they're going to do another game.
Yeah.
That's 5 years away, probably. So my hope is they're able to package some sort of, anime show over time. There's just nothing that they're talking about now. So that was great. I'm glad I waited for the full setup with the speakers and all that stuff. So it was worth the wait for sure. And then I started watching House of the Dragon. Which is pretty good. I have one more episode.
Okay.
I think that's also 10 episodes. Yeah, so I have one more episode there. It's good. It's more
Game of Thrones.
It's more Game of Thrones, but like the good Game of Thrones, not like the last season and a half or 2 seasons of Game of Thrones. It's like more of the good stuff. I'm having a really hard time keeping up with
the time jumps,
the kids,
yeah,
the time, like the number, like all these different kids and the time jumps and whatever. But other than that, yeah, I've been really enjoying it. So that's been a good. That was another thing that people were like really pushing. They're like, no, it's good, like watch it, because I kind of wrote off all that stuff because of how Game of Thrones ended. So I'm glad I kind of worked through that and decided to give the show a go.
Well, yeah, I totally agree with you. In terms of like the time jumps and the kids and all that stuff, it was kind of going very fast. The first, at least, I think 5 or 6 episodes.
I thought the first 4, basically everything leading up to the first big time jump, I thought was like actually like well paced, and then so the first half I was like, this feels right, and then
right
second
before
half,
they became the 2 main characters, Allison and Rhaenyra, became adults.
Yeah,
that was good. Then that 2 or 3 episode where like they had kids and then the kids had a time jump. I think that was the weird part.
And I feel like specifically like Daemon, he's the character played by Matt Smith. I feel like his character is kind of like he had like a very clear.
Like he's a douche, but then you also like him, and then he does good things, and then he's a douche still. It's just weird.
But I feel like his character is like completely different now like toward the end.
Yeah,
like,
well,
so,
I think he became softer because nothing was happening, but he'll probably go back to being a douche.
I guess, yeah. So,
he wants war, baby, and war's coming.
So yeah, it's just kind of tough to navigate these like character arcs when you have these like massive time jumps and so I don't know, but it's I feel like the first half was really really good. The second half has been less good, but still enjoyable.
So the last episode you watched was 9, which ended amazingly. Spoilers when
you can't say spoilers and
spoil it.
Yeah, I guess it's fine now. It's fine now.
Yeah.
You gotta like give some breathing room, because usually you say spoilers and then do it and then.
All right, spoilers.
Think about someone's watching on YouTube. They have it like in the other tab, and then
I think
by the time you say spoiler, like
I think you're the last person to see House of the Dragon.
Fair enough.
Spoilers for a show that ended what 3-4 weeks ago, a month ago.
No. I mean that's normal.
Yeah, you're right.
Say spoilers.
That was a spoiler. But how and Game of Thrones always did this, which was the penultimate episode was always like a really big banger, and was really good. And this one, same thing, where like you have the king just died and everybody is rushing to anoint the new king or whatever, and all this crazy stuff's happening, and then it ends with the dragon coming from the bottom and just kind of obliterating everybody, which was kind of
not everybody.
Amazing. Not everybody, yeah. Which if you were up to date when that episode came out, the whole internet was mad because she's like, just burn them. Just burn them
and
and
then
end the story.
we were, in bed watching this at like 1 a.m, and we were like, burn them.
Yeah.
But she didn't do it. So.
But it's, it defeats the purpose of the show then. It's like, oh, show's over.
Yeah.
But
and then you can cue the Curb Your Enthusiasm music, and then...
And that's it.
That's it. That would have been it.
I think it's done a good job, and like I was telling you earlier, because the book for this is already written, we know how it's going to end, so no surprises there. We don't have... we don't think it'll end bad. If anything, it just gets better, because from what I've read, they've done certain things that the books did differently that made the show better. So,
yeah.
Excited for season 2 in 2024.
Yeah. Be patient. But yeah, I have just one more episode, so looking forward to that. I'll probably watch that tonight or
another good episode too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. Good. Great. Yeah. I think that's it on TV, and on the game front. I kind of already talked about it. It was basically playing just under 5 hours of God of War, so that's all I was able to get into. Hoping to play a lot tonight and tomorrow.
Yeah, man. Can't wait for you to get in there, bro. Yeah. I think the combat, the stories, it's amazing. It's good.
Yeah. That's it?
Yeah, that's it. Look at that. This is a beefy episode. All the beef. I think it's a good episode.
I think we're just going to title it Beefy Episode.
Well, yeah, Beefy Episode.
Yeah.
No, you get the beef. Where's the beef? It's in this episode. All right. Anyways, let me stop saying beef. Thanks for joining us, guys. We'll see you on the next episode. I'm Hugo. Bye.
I'm Nick. Later.